Hey, it's Zach from What the Pod Was That and the All About Nothing podcast. And America's birthday is coming up faster than we can track. Celebrate Independence Day in style with ZJZ Designs' latest t-shirt collection on TeePublic. Introducing 3 brand new 4th of July heart designs that perfectly capture the spirit of America. These shirts feature vibrant, patriotic colors and unique heart-shaped designs that stand out at any celebration. Whether you're heading to a fireworks show, a barbecue, or just enjoying the summer sun, our 4th of July heart collection has something for everyone. Show off your love for the red, white, and blue with ZJZ Design. Visit ZJZ Design's TeePublic shop today and get ready to shine this Independence Day. Links in the show notes or visit ZJZDesigns.com and check out all the great designs. New designs come up often. ZJZDesigns.com.
This episode of the All About Nothing podcast is sponsored by Everplay Sports and Social Summer 2026 Adult Sports Leagues. Registering now through May 20th for kickball, softball, volleyball, pickleball, bowling, and more. Visit everplaysocial.com for details and registration. Do it now because these leagues will sell out. It's a great way to get off the couch and hang out with friends while doing enjoyable, fun activities. Again, visit everplaysocial.com and sign up today. Welcome, everyone, to the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast. You can follow me across all of social media at Barrett Gruber. If you want to participate in the show, you can chat with us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. You can find links at the top of our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. Please follow and subscribe wherever it is you are hearing us. So it is after Wednesday, Thursday, we're almost to the end of the week. As usual, every week, we got a new episode this week from the Awakening podcast. Heather and Tamara sit down and explore Sheila's journey this week through faith, gender, and freedom. You can listen to the Awakening podcast wherever you get podcasts, or you can visit bigmediallc.com. Also, the All About Nothing podcast released an episode this week with a Republican candidate for the Senate in Idaho, Denny LaVey. Great episode. It was part 1 of 2 episodes. The second episode will come out on Monday. So make sure you're subscribed for that. You can find links again, theallaboutnothing.com. As well, on Monday, we had an episode released from Preach Jacobs with an interview with Sanford Green. They talk about the upcoming 2026 Colicon, as well as hip hop and graphic arts and things like that. So make sure to go listen to that one. It was a fantastic interview. Search for the Preach Jacobs podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or again, you can visit bigmediallc.com. So we have got a lot to get to today, including the fact that the Treasury Department just announced the new $20 bill will feature a QR code that links directly to a permanent 20% off Spirit Halloween coupon, because in 2026, our currency might as well acknowledge that we're all just living in a haunted retail space that's only open for 2 months a year. But first, for more on the process that allows politicians to choose their voters with the same precision a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon uses to freshen up a Real Housewife, it's time for another Nothing or Deep Dive. So now, if you're like most people, you probably think of redistricting as a dry, clerical thing that happens once every 10 years when the government counts everyone and then draws some line on a map. It's supposed to be boring, administrative task, like updating your car insurance or pretending to read the terms and conditions on a software update before clicking accept and hoping you didn't just sell your soul to a printer company. But here in 2026, redistricting has officially graduated from boring bureaucracy to a full-contact, no-holds-barred blood sport. We are currently in the middle of what the pundits are calling mid-decade madness, where states are redrawing their maps, not because of the population move, but because people in power decided they didn't like the results of the last election. It's like playing a game of Monopoly, and halfway through, the guy with the little silver car decides that Park Place actually belongs to him because he feels like a winner today, and he's holding a pair of scissors. And look, for a long time, the narrative on gerrymandering was pretty straightforward. Republicans were the undisputed heavyweight champions of it. They had RedMap, they had high-tech proprietary software, and they had the absolute breathtaking shamelessness to draw districts that defy the laws of geometry and human decency. We've all seen them. Those districts in North Carolina or Ohio that look like a giraffe trying to swallow a lawnmower, or a Rorschach test of people who think democracy is just a polite suggestion. But the game changed fundamentally over this last year. In April, the Supreme Court handed down a 6-3 decision in Louisiana versus Calais. They essentially took a look at Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the part designed to protect minority voters from having their political power diluted. And they said, this is a lovely antique, really, but it doesn't quite fit our new extreme partisanship decor. Let's just toss it in the bin with reasonable disclosure and public trust. The ruling basically gave a glowing green light for states to redraw their maps mid-decade for purely partisan reasons. That is literally legal code for I want to keep my job even if every single person in my zip code thinks that I'm a disaster. And boy, did the Republicans run with it. In Texas, we saw reports that Donald Trump was personally calling state officials to ensure the lines were drawn for a permanent GOP supermajority. In Florida, Ron DeSantis signed off on a map that looks like he dropped a bowl of spaghetti on a Xerox machine and told the clerk, that's the 14th district now. Make sure it includes 3 retirement homes and an alligator farm. Here's where the story takes its 2026 twist. For years, Democrats have been the ones standing on the moral high ground, clutching their pearls and saying, we need independent commissions. We need fair maps. We need to follow the rules of a civilized, functioning society. And then they took a look at the scoreboard, they looked at the Supreme Court, and they finally said, oh, I see. The rules are gone. The referee has been replaced with a guy in a MAGA hat who is currently eating his own whistle and charging us for the privilege. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries recently announced the New York Democracy Project, which is a very dignified Ivy League way of saying, we're going to gerrymander the fuck out of New York because we're tired of being the only ones bringing a gluten-free baguette to a knife fight. Jeffries said, and I'm not making this up, Democrats refuse to unilaterally disarm. Unilaterally disarm. It's so cinematic. It sounds like the tagline for a movie where a mild-mannered geography teacher is pushed too far. Picture the trailer. In a world, lines are blurred. One man will draw them. Even sharper. Hakeem Jeffries is the cartographer. Coming this summer, the redistricting. This time, it's partisan. Damn, it's hard to talk that way. But that is the reality of our current moment. Democrats are essentially looking at the Republicans' playbook and saying, fine, you want to play Etch-a-Sketch democracy? Let's go. You draw a district that looks like a snake, and we'll draw one that looks like a dragon eating a snake. In California, they just pushed through a map that could net them 5 extra seats by essentially carving up suburban blocks like a Thanksgiving turkey. In Virginia, they're trying to turn a competitive split into a total sweep. It is literally an arms race, but instead of nuclear warheads, we're using Census Block 402 in the weird neighborhood behind the Arby's. Now, the media loves to frame this as both sides are doing it, which is technically true in the same way that both sides are involved when one person punches another person in the face for 10 years, and the second person finally decides to swing back. One side spent 15 years building a giant voter suppression robot, and the other side just finally figured out where the on switch was. But the result is that by the time we hit the 2026 midterms, the vast majority of these races won't be decided by voters. They'll be decided by a guy with a high-end graphics card and a highlighter with a windowless room in Albany or Tallahassee. We've reached a point where congressional districts are so safe that the only way a politician can actually lose their job is if they're caught on camera admitting they think the show Yellowstone is just okay. It has reached a level of peak absurdity. Take Ohio, for instance. Their redistricting commission is legally required to be fair, but the map they just passed looks like a drawing of a ghost having a violent seizure. That is not a district. That is a cry for help. That's what happens when you tell a computer to draw a map that ensures no one ever has to listen to a constituent ever again. And while the politicians are busy fighting over who gets to represent the 3 houses and the single Starbuck that make up the new 22nd district of Northwest Jersey, the actual voters are left feeling like they're watching a game of Tetris played by people who actively despise them. Because at the end of the day, when both sides decide that unilateral disarmament is off the table, the only thing that actually gets destroyed is the radical, crazy idea that your vote, the physical act of you going to the poll, is the thing that determines who wins. So that's our deep dive for this week. Before we wrap up the show, I absolutely want to just check out some of the news that has made the headlines today. And to do that, I usually go to Ground News. This isn't necessarily an endorsement for Ground News, but I actually think that the way that they publish their information to the app is much better than some of the other ones. So just to go through some of the news that I thought would be important to discuss today, I'm going to do that through my Ground News. So yesterday, on Tuesday, the South Carolina Senate rejected a motion to redraw U.S. House districts with a 29-17 vote, falling 2 votes short of the 2/3 majority threshold required. This defeat halts a Republican push to alter electoral maps before the November midterms. President Donald Trump urged senators to be bold and courageous and delay primaries, but Republican Senate Majority Leader Shane Massey resisted. Massey said he doesn't like being asked to bend to someone's will instead of doing what's best for the state. So Shane Massey evolved with a backbone here in the last couple of days. Fantastic. I imagine it'll probably disintegrate at some point. This failure follows broader national redistricting battles where opponents recently challenged Missouri's new map. Attorney Abba Kahana criticized the districts as a sprawling behemoth that cuts clear across the states to unite territories that share absolutely nothing in common. South Carolina's current primary calendar remains stable following the vote, preventing logistical disruptions for election officials. Absentee and overseas military ballots have already been sent and cast amid an extremely tight deadline, making redistricting mid-cycle risky. A national redistricting battle has intensified over 10 months, inflamed by a recent Supreme Court ruling. We just discussed that weakened the Voting Rights Act. Similar conflicts persist in Louisiana and Alabama as states weigh aggressively district redraws ahead of the November elections. And like I said, this is insane to me that we are going through this, that I get Republicans are going to gerrymander, Democrats are going to gerrymander, but the idea that we are doing it within months of the election, within, in some cases, days before the primaries have begun, is just absolutely absurd and insane to me. And I have to believe that even MAGA Republicans have to look at this and go, all right, this feels desperate, right? It feels desperate. Just insane. What else is in the news? Trump arrived in Beijing today, Wednesday, for a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, making this his first trip to China since November of 2017. Following a Thursday welcoming ceremony at the Great Hall of the People, Trump and Xi Jinping will discuss forming a board of trade and a board of investment to manage non-sensitive goods and discrete investment issues. I'm sure there will be some discrediting involved. Makes sense. Amid the war in Iran, Washington seeks to prevent Beijing from supporting Tehran, while questions linger over whether the administration might shift Taiwan policy language from not supporting independence to opposing it. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer accompany Trump, while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will join later following preparatory talks in South Korea. Before departing Washington, Trump expressed optimism for the exciting meeting, with the agenda potentially including resuming diplomacy with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during Thursday's state banquet. And earlier today, I saw some interesting information specifically about Trump and his group of sycophants, really. But his group of leadership that showed up in China today and were not greeted in the typical fashion in which the state politics, China, the way that they typically welcome someone with the level of responsibility as a president from the United States. Xi Jinping did not join them at the tarmac when Air Force One landed. There also were not really anyone from the government that apparently showed up. A lot of the pomp and circumstance that goes along with some of these arrivals usually is much bigger. And Donald Trump apparently was slighted in this case. I think that this just adds to the assumption that there isn't a lot of respect for Donald Trump or for the United States in some of the major, the what do we call them? The countries, first world countries, nuclear powered countries. I don't know, whatever. But I think it's very telling that Donald Trump is not going to get the respect from some of these countries like China. I don't know what would happen if they were to go visit Russia. I think that Putin would probably roll out the red carpet, and I think it's likely that Putin would show up at the tarmac to watch the president fumble his way down the stairs. But I don't know for certain. I do know that in some of the Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or Qatar, they're likely going to make a spectacle of Donald Trump's visit when he goes back. I got to imagine it's already on the calendar. He loves visiting the Middle East. And maybe because the war hopefully is coming to an end soon, maybe he'll go visit and he'll get, a giant glowing ball again that he can put his hands on awkwardly. Also, yesterday, FBI Director Kash Patel was engaged in a confrontational exchange with Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat from Maryland, during a Senate Appropriations Committee hearing following weeks of scrutiny regarding his conduct. Patel unequivocally and categorically denied allegations first reported by The Atlantic that he has engaged in excessive drinking, which purportedly led to an unexplained absence and episodes where security personnel were unable to rouse him. Literally, there are claims that they had to use one of those big metal barricade busting, devices to take the door down in order to try and either wake him up or make sure he wasn't dead. Yeah. When Senator Van Hollen challenged him to take the alcohol use disorders identification test, I guess right there, it's a standard screening tool for alcohol abuse, Patel snapped back that he would take any test the senator was willing to take alongside him. So I guess it was another one of those distract and disgrace situations where Senator Van Hollen said that Patel should take the test, to which Patel said, "I'll take it if you take it." Nonsense. During the heated testimony, Patel launched a personal counteroffensive accusing Van Hollen of slinging margaritas on the taxpayers' dime during a trip to El Salvador. The senator dismissed these claims that they're based on a hoax. So, despite the personal nature of the exchange, Patel used the hearing to defend the FBI's $12.5 billion budget requested for 2027 and denied the agency's resources were being diverted to investigate journalists or handle his personal $250 million defamation lawsuit against The Atlantic. So, yeah, once again, Kash Patel, director of the FBI, is proving to be the best choice. Good job, Trump, as always. Look, I really hope that if this is being heard here at the end of the week, that everyone has a fantastic weekend. I am going to wrap it up as it's a little short this evening, but I think what we said was important. So Big thanks to everybody watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, you can follow me, myself, at Barrett Gruber across all social media. Thanks for liking and hitting that bell. And if you can, give us a 5-star review and leave a comment. Until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media, LLC. Copyright 2026.